Welcome to episode 68 of the official podcast for Guardian 1, a Destiny group dedicated to the prosperity of Guardians everywhere. We broadcast live Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Guardian 1 Network. My name is Remy, and tonight I'm joined by Crimson Warlock.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Agrios.
Greetings, Guardians.
And Sharks.
Challenge mode.
We are going to be talking about all things Destiny, but first, housekeeping.
Hello, Guardians. Thank you all for listening to the podcast, however it is that you're choosing to listen. Be sure to follow Guardian 1 on Twitter at G1Net. That's G, the number 1, N-E-T. You can also take a look at the Guardian 1 website at guardian1.net. If you do a search on bungie.net for Guardian 1, you'll find our forums group, of which we'll also use for both comments and feedback. Once again, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network every Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. If you can't catch the show live, you can search Guardian 1 for the iTunes podcast, as well as go into the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1 Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out their website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all of the different podcasts that's part of the network, including Aim Assist Gaming, TTL Party Chat, Robust Radio, Ghost and Echoes, as well as the flagship podcast Guardian Radio. Guardian Radio broadcasts every Monday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at Guardians of D and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/GuardiansofD. That's all I have for now. Moving on.
Thank you very much, Hollow River. This episode marks the fifth week that River's not here, and I'm starting to get a little worried.
He still likes Destiny, I promise.
I'm certain that he
Well, that's
does.
the holidays for you.
Hey,
Yeah.
at least he plays Destiny. I know there's some people in this podcast that don't.
Who's that?
You know who.
I don't know who.
What have you done in Destiny recently, Agrios? Anything fun or cool?
No. No, I haven't played a lot of Destiny recently. I have played some. I would play more, but it doesn't seem like any of my regular groups of people are ever on while I'm playing at any point now. And I just don't have the interest like before because of the goals of accomplishing certain things or getting certain collections completed or, just completing the grimoire. Or before I was in the mode where I was, very completionist every week. I got, every nightfall done, every test weapon done on every character, bought one of every Arms Day package on every character every week. And I just haven't been interested in a lot of the solo aspects of Destiny, and I'm also not interested enough in getting these other things done to go out and LFG. There's plenty of decent people out there in LFG land, but you can sometimes have to go through a bunch of bags of dicks before you get there. And I just don't have that interest to go out and put that effort in, I suppose. I would end up playing Destiny a whole lot more if I had friends on who were interested in playing Destiny as well currently, but I just don't have any groups of friends at the moment who are interested in doing it.
So have you have you not done the challenge modes at all?
No, I haven't. Not at all.
Are you
I don't
interested
think
in
I've
it?
killed anything in Destiny this week. I've logged on a couple times, taking care of some housekeeping and stuff, but I don't think I killed a single thing in Destiny this week.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Crimson Warlock, what about you? Have you done anything cool in Destiny recently? And have you done the challenge modes?
No, challenge mode's gonna have to wait for me until the weekend. I'm hoping I can get a group and do some challenge mode. But honestly, I feel like Destiny is really falling into another content rut, kind of like what we had in the Dark Below, where everyone's done pretty much everything, and I mean, yeah, challenge mode's out, but it's more the same all over again. Yeah, you have to try and beat these bosses in a new and different way. But at the same time, like the rewards are still the same in a way. If you're doing hard mode, you're still going to get hard mode drops. Yeah, you're guaranteed those nice 310 or 320 drops depending on your difficulty. It's I think the whole community is really starving for some content, and hopefully this weekend we'll be able to hear some more about that.
It
Well,
sounds
not only that, but there's not even the promise of content right now. Even before, like during the Dark Below content gap, we had the promise of upcoming content to like continue to prepare for. We don't have any idea what the future of Destiny is right now.
That is true. That is true.
so.
They've been really silent, and that really isn't helping right now, I think.
Yeah, you guys have to realize that there's no news because their promise is the challenge modes that are going on each week now.
Yeah, but that's not content. That's like barely like a daily quality change. Like the amounts, how different each challenge mode each week is minuscule. It's barely different than the modifiers on a Nightfall. So I can't exactly call that content.
Well, it sounds like guaranteed drops are awesome, but it almost feels like too little, too late. Sharks, have you done any of the challenges?
Yeah, I finished challenges on all three characters.
And did you get anything good?
I got 4 320 guns, and I got my 320 artifacts, and then I got a ton of other guns to boot. But yeah,
Sounds awesome. Sounds awesome. I have not done it, and I mean, this just stems from not having a lot of time to play video games. Period. So it's really, this is the same old for me in that I'm still not doing this, and that makes me sad. But I feel like I feel like I'm somewhere in between Sharks and Agrios in that I did kill some stuff in Destiny this week, and I make sure that I get my test weapons done every week, at least the PvE ones, because I can, it's Destiny doesn't have a pause button, but at least I'm able to run off into a corner, and I don't have to worry about every dude, every Tom, Dick, and Harry coming over and shooting me while I'm waiting. The bad guys have a certain a certain area that they can patrol, and they don't move out of that for the most part. But when Luke Smith said that we had done 5/13ths of what was available in the raid, do you feel that if they continue down this path in just changing some part of the raid minusculely with better benefits, uh, do you feel like this is going to be enough to hold us off until something else comes along?
I don't. I think it's ridiculous. To be quite honest, after doing the challenge mode this week, a lot of people didn't even realize what the challenge mode was beforehand because you're already doing what it wants you to do unless unless it's random that it happens upon the same person. But and as far as drops go, I mean, I've had this big huge issue with the RNG for light and just basically fixing that in a way for a long time. I mean, they should have had something like this going a long time ago. So no, It's not enough to keep it going. It's enough to keep it going for the people that are eager to get their light up, because that's basically what's happening with doing these challenge modes and getting your calcified fragments. But as far as like content for to draw people back in, like aggro's drawing them back in, it's not going to do it. I mean, they do need to get off their butt and do something.
What do you want to see, Sharks, and what do you think would draw Agrios in? I'm going to ask Agrios what would draw Agrios back in, but I want to know do you want to see and what do you think would draw him back in?
You would have okay. I would like to see some kind of more story, or these little, these little offshoot things to go and get guns. I mean, they're obviously going to bring in the exotics, some of the year two exotics. I have a feeling that maybe, or I'm hoping that maybe they will have these side quests that you have to do, whatever it is, and hopefully it's not just running the same stuff over again, but some new storyline to do that. And I think that's what it's going to take to draw people like Agrios back.
Agrios, what is it going to take to draw you back in, and or what do you want to see happen with as we move forward with these new challenges within the raid?
Well, I mean, the number one thing to draw me back in at the moment would be simply having the people I'm playing, the people that I play with, playing on a regular basis again. Like, I would continue to do a lot of the content that's there still if I still had regular groups that all wanted to try for it. But the simple fact is, I just don't have groups of friends on at the moment, like 6 ready to go, like any given point, that would want to do the raid or anything like that. So I have to either go way out of my way to like meet a bunch of friends at an awkward time for myself, or LFG people. And the game's just not, like I said before, interesting enough at the moment for me to go through dealing with LFGing people to accomplish, multi-person tasks. Story content would be great, but I think they've been lacking that a bit from the very beginning. I mean, that's no secret. So more of that would be awesome. The challenge modes, it's interesting that you brought up that fact that I forgot about, where he said that we had only done 5/13 of the raid. So it's interesting to try to figure out where he assigns value. So if you say in 5/13, I guess there's 5 sections to the raid. So he's saying there's an additional version of each of those sections plus 2 more or something. They note later in the weekly update today that there's 3 different current challenges for challenge mode, and that's it. They also note that Golgoroth's challenge is next week. So we had the War Priest this week, Golgoroth next week, and there's one more challenge mode that's released in the rotation. So going by that logic, there's 4 more interesting things they're going to release as changes, more challenge modes, or something for the raid, or secrets we haven't discovered, or
But
something.
wait a minute, didn't he say that before hard mode came out? I'm pretty sure he did.
Well, if that's the case, that still adds up oddly with the 5/13s, because then that would be 5 more boss battles in the hard mode plus 2 more challenges, but we got 3 more challenges. But
No,
so who
five
knows how
five
he's
five.
assigning that value? But
No, it
like,
would be 5/13. So you got 5 for easy mode, 5 for hard mode, and then the 3 challenges. That's 13.
oh yeah, I guess that is, yeah, that's up right. So I guess, yeah, I guess that would be, maybe that's it then. That's all they have until next expansion. That would add up that way if he did say that before hard mode. So yeah, more content quicker. Get us excited for what's in the future. Before the game ever came out, I was excited for Destiny. I should still feel that way about what hasn't come out for Destiny, but I don't.
Right. I wonder why that is. I wonder why they're being so quiet. I mean, obviously, if they were going to announce something last week or the week before, why not wait for a big opportunity like PSX? And Deej is leaving for that now. More consoles leaving for that now. Like people are on their way
Mhm.
to this event, and I can understand wanting to save big information for a big event. It makes people feel special. I was there when they announced that, but I feel like I feel like what's crazy about all of this is I still haven't experienced all of this as somebody whose time is split between family and gaming. I still haven't even done all of it, and so I'm still working all of my characters up. I just hit one of my second characters full third subclass. Like, this is how far along I am. I have not completed the subclass for all three of my characters on both systems. So it's, I don't know.
You know what? Something else that's caused me a bit of an issue that I think has reduced the amount of, say, grinding, farming type play that I have done is the fact that the way they've engineered this whole light level structure thing is that, for instance, when at the start of Taken King, the amount of effort you would have had to put into to get over 310, well, it was impossible to get over 310 at the start of Taken King, but the amount of effort you had to put in to get up to 310 with the available resources was significant, like many hours. Whereas those who relaxed maybe a little bit and waited till challenge mode hit this week and got those pieces to bump them up so quickly, put in so few hours to jump that far in light level. So I guess the frequency with at which they make it easier to jump significantly farther up in light makes it less enticing to work hard initially to get to that light level.
It's kind of the way they deal with the Iron Banner. Like, you can not play Iron Banner all week and then get all three of your characters up on that last day.
Exactly.
But I mean, at the same time, they're doing this for they're doing this for the people who are not able to play all through the week. Some people have X amount of hours per week that they're just going to play video games, and they might be interested in doing that. And I think that they're rewarding those people with just showering them with legendary drops. I know that only playing on Saturday this last time, or no, wait, only playing. No, I don't even think I played Saturday. I think I played the tiniest bit Sunday, and then I played all night Monday, all day Monday, and I got a ton of drops. So I can only imagine the people who burn through it in the first couple of days and keep playing on those rank 5 characters.
Well, that's the thing. Even if you're starting, it takes so long to ramp up at the beginning of the week compared to the end of the week that even if you do start grinding your first character out at the beginning of the week, you invest that first 3 whole days to get that character up, whereas you could do that in 2 hours on the last day.
Yeah, but you're getting drops. You're getting random drops throughout that grind, so you're
Right.
still getting rewarded. I know we had this discussion when I saw you on at the end of the week when Iron Banner was out, and I was like, you should have come on all week long, and you're like, nah, I can get it all done now. I go, yeah, but you're losing out on all that opportunity for the random drops, and it's the random drops that were
but
awesome.
that's the thing is all those hours for those random drops that don't do me very much good at all aren't worth it to me anymore for Destiny because I don't have an angle I'm working towards.
Yeah, but they do if you're trying to level your light up because it's random high drops. It could be all the way up to 320, which in fact
it can be, but most of them weren't. Like I told you when we actually were talking about this, the whole time that I actually played, like during the time that I played, after I finished talking to you, including that time too, only one thing randomly dropped during any of the matches I played for me or anybody else that would have raised my light level.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that goes back into the crappy RNG system and the way that they're doing it. I mean,
but that's why I'm saying the hours that you put in for those drops just aren't worth it to me at the moment.
And it's like that with everything. I really wish, and if there was somebody out there at Bungie that was listening right now, what I wish they would do with the light system is have it incremental where you get, okay, so say you start off at 280. When you're level 280, you can get random drops as high as you want. You can get 320 drops, but what you're mostly going to get is 280 to 290, and then when you hit 290, the drops go from 290 to you get this nice even system that each level you go up. Like if you're 281, you're going to get 281 to 291, and you're 282, you get 282 to 292, because that would make people want to actually play, and you wouldn't be stuck at these low lights, which a lot of people are because they can't get the drops.
And you'd still feel a sense of progression too. I mean,
Right,
you know,
right, and
doing whatever content, still feel like you're progressing, and that's the important thing I feel is
no,
like for me, I just felt like I stopped progressing, and that's kind of what's really pushed me away from Destiny right now. Is I don't want to put in another 3 hours to run the raid twice and not get any more gear that's going to up the characters that I'm playing at all. And that's happened to me. That happened to me for 4 weeks in a row. I'd play the raid, and I got either nothing but shards or gear that was lower than what I already had equipped,
right,
and
and
it
they
was
they
just
they
so frustrating.
well,
So
they
frustrating.
obviously saw that problem, which is why they put in the challenge mode. But it doesn't have to just be in the raid. It can be random blue items too, because this goes back to people wanting to have specific gears and specific guns. It's very, very difficult to do it because you're relying on those high drop light things. And then it's like, oh, well, I don't want to infuse that into something I might actually really like because yeah, I'm going to lose light there. I did it with all my gear after Iron Banner. I wanted all the Iron Banner gear. So what I did is I literally went through, and it took me like 3 hours to decide exactly how I was going to do it. But I infused everything into my Iron Banner gear because that's the gear I wanted, and that's what I wanted to work for. And now every time I get something in the raid, I infuse it into that specific gear. But it makes it so hard. If there was blues that were dropping that were that somewhere in between there, you could still infuse, and it would, like you say, it would be something to work forward to.
Yeah, and like I mean, just what you're saying too. I mean, to get that one weapon, for example, like I would really love to play with um Red Death or Bad Juju more often, but I'm not going to sacrifice my brand new gun that um took me above light level 300 to infuse into these exotics that I do want to use and not be at that same light level anymore. Um, and then the drops are so infrequent at those higher light levels that it's almost not, and it's not worth it to infuse anything anymore. You just, well, that's the gear that I have, so I'm going to be stuck with it
Okay, so this
because
is
I'm
what
not going to get another 310 plus drop for a long time.
that's what I think these challenge modes are about. So if we were to look at a graph of the difficulty in achieving things versus the difficulty in achieving what you want to achieve. So yeah, so you get a 320 drop and you think to yourself, I have to stick with this weapon for as long as if I want to keep this light level, I have to sit with this. But if you run that challenge on each three of your characters and you get 320s of the special weapon or whatever, you will then be able to pick a weapon that you would like to bring up to that light level. And I think that that's what they're doing. I think that they divvied out certain amount of light level weapons here, and then moving into this next section they got a little bit more generous. Here comes hard mode, here comes higher light level content, and now with these challenges, here's a ton of this higher light level content. Pick whatever weapon you do want to bring and bring that to the forefront. Because if you had, let's say you ran it on all three characters, you got a primary weapon, for each of you could bring up whatever you wanted at that point. And I think that that's one of the ways you can tell that something is getting ready to happen in Destiny. Something needs to happen in Destiny because it's not it's important for you to know that Agrios has a huge list of friends. He has a huge list of friends. And so for him to not have a group within that list that is playing enough for him to feel like he can go and wisely spend his time playing Destiny, something has to change, and I'm seeing tones of House of Wolves, and by this I mean at some point people were done going through they're done going through the Prison of Elders, and they had moved on to other games that they were playing, and I was still just happily chipping away at the content that I wasn't able to get to when everybody else was able to get to it. So I'm actually having a good time in Destiny when I do play Destiny, because I'm just doing the single player stuff, keeping up on my test weapons, and trying to make that thing go around. I want to see what happens when you get to a Vanguard level of 25, which I would be at right now if I had not switched to a hunter. I think that my Titan is like level 21, and I want to believe that there is, because otherwise I've wasted all my points on Vanguard.
I have a question for you guys. Do you honestly? I know that Bungie hasn't said anything, but do you honestly believe in the back of your minds that nothing's going to happen? Because if we look at the history since Destiny's come out, basically we've gotten new content every 3 months.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm expecting to hear something at PSX this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm
I am
definitely
too, but
expecting
I'm
that.
curious as to what their plan is for the future. Like, they obviously, have elected to change things slightly with the future. They've dropped hints before that the slideshow of the releases weren't accurate anymore. Like before, we knew it wasn't accurate. So they've obviously been planning this for a while, and the Eververse Trading Company is definitely part of these plans. Now, a leak that was widely disregarded as like BS a long time ago has since proven itself almost 100% true with the recent changes to everything. One of the things that it said on there was their plan was to use the Eververse Trading Company and just release free content at a more gradual rate and no more DLCs. That's the only thing in that huge list of leaks from a long time ago that hasn't come true at this point. So I don't know if we're going to see more releases of big DLC, and it makes me concerned have concerns about how much time, how many resources they're putting in to planning
Yeah, but wait a minute.
various
If you're
Eververse
going
Trading Company events.
But if you're going off of leaks, you also have to remember something else: is that there was a leak of a picture, and that picture showed that Comet, which was the Taken King, that there were still DLCs.
That's the slideshow I'm talking about that Bungie said was no longer accurate before we ever knew it changed. And then after that slideshow came out, and that slideshow that you're talking about that showed the comment and the future DLC releases was actually one of the reasons why this post of leaks was poo-pooed and disregarded. In fact, I was a mod of the subreddit at the time, and the mods all took it down. We didn't even allow it to stay up.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I know that Bungie made a lot of money off of the. Yeah,
This
but
is way back before the new subclasses came out, and he described each one of the subclasses in detail, exactly correct, and everybody was like, "Oh, that Hunter one can't be right." He called it a void well. He said they shot a shot out that put a purple spot on the ground that slowed your enemies and stuff.
Yeah, but
And
even if those leaks are true and they're going to base everything off of Eververse, you have to realize that until the next update, which is going to happen very soon, Eververse hasn't been changing stuff up for people to spend money on. Not really.
no, but
So
it's new. And here's what I was saying before. My concern is I'm concerned to how much of the resources that normally would be designing new content that they have toward designing new programs to get people to spend silver. The Halloween event, although it was cool, like visually, and gave people something interesting to do for a minute, was totally a silver creating scam. Like with those like slot machine to get that flaming skull, the coolest mask, get money people to pump money in. That was a fairly elaborate scheme to get people to feel like they were doing something in the game to spend money into Eververse Trading Company. And now here in the update, we have hints that they're going to take up all the dances that are there now and pack them up behind the similar type of packages so that it's now an RNG slot machine with real money to attempt to get any of these old emotes that you haven't got yet. Or if you're a newcomer to the game and didn't have the opportunity to buy them yet, it's going to be an RNG type real money slot machine to try to get these emotes. And I'm just concerned at how much behind the scenes resources they're pumping into coming up with these new programs and schemes, and how many more of those we're going to see. I just hope they're not going to sacrifice, very much future content for it.
Okay, so here's my thought on this, because this is something that I try and put myself into their position, and I feel like with each release of DLC, there was a splintering of the community, and with that splintering came people who said, well, I don't have the latest up-to-date content, what's the point of playing? And I feel like when Taken King came out, that probably provided the biggest bit of data yet, in that so many people bought the expansion pass prior to that, and so you didn't see as much of a drop off. And with Taken King, what you're really saying is, okay, well, you can keep playing Destiny and all this old content, but we're not going to focus on that at all, for a while. And I feel like that shooed a lot of people away. I feel like that scared a lot of people away. I don't have the best or the brightest, and that's what everybody's running, and that's what it takes to do what is going on in Destiny right now. And so people left. And I feel like what they're trying to do with this new system, whatever they're trying to do now, is they're trying to take that splintering and say, okay, well, you don't have to buy any of this, but if you want to, you can buy this over here. And I think that this strategy is definitely worth trying, because as it stands, there's still a lot of people. I know at least one person on each console who hasn't bought the DLC, Taken King, and they're not interested in it. I logged into Elder Scrolls Online yesterday, and I had zero idea what the hell was going on. I got lost, and I thought this must be what it feels like for the people who never made it to even level 28, when in the original content. People who still aren't level 28 in the original content. This is how it had to have felt. I don't know what to do. I'm kind of lost. I'm not going to play this anymore. But if they can keep it where each person who buys it from here on out is buying this Taken King, that reduces the splintering. And then if you can give people content, a reason to come back without having to charge them each for it, then you're going to get more people to come back. What do you think about that?
I think that's a really good point. But don't forget, we only have to plan until this September, and then we get a new game.
Is that right?
According to the previous release schedule, if they stick to the game releases, there's 4 Destinies, each 2 years apart. Character will persist over.
Yeah, but you also have to realize that's how it is with most games. I mean, when I was playing Black Ops, it was Black Ops 2 years, Black Ops 2, 2 years, Black Ops 3. And in between, these companies like Activision for Call of Duty, they were doing Black Ops, and then they were doing Modern Warfare, and then, well, not Modern Warfare, but shoot, I can't think of what it's called now. But anyways, the alternate version of what was that?
Advanced Warfare.
Advanced Wars. That's right. So they usually games are 2 year release for main games, but there's no way, if that's what they're gonna do, and they're only gonna base it off of people buying stuff and then maybe give you content, they're gonna lose so many people. People aren't gonna stick around till September for some minor little story coming in. I can't see them doing that. That'd be insane.
What they really need to do to what I feel is make the Eververse effective is have a release schedule of at least something small that will maybe take a week, 2 weeks tops every month. That's the kind of thing that we need is some small side quest, lore tidbit. Go meet this character that you've read in the grimoire because he has something for you to do. We need something like that every month, I feel, for the Eververse to really effectively give us any sort of promised content for silver it generates.
Interesting.
It would definitely allow those people who feel like there's not much to do. Say you stop playing Destiny for a month, well, you come back and you've got 2 new small content patches or packages to kind of catch up on, and that'll keep you engaged for a little while, and then maybe that'll take long enough for the next one to come out even. Like I just feel like in in between these larger releases, we definitely need small trickled out content that isn't holiday themed, but just something
But
that pushes a story, whether that's an arc that they're not going to get to until, you know, 2 expansion packs down the road or something, but introduces it. Just something that pushes the story arcs that we've had and makes the lore more rich in game.
if they're going to do that though, and I, from a business standpoint, and as you would have to implement it where people would actually have to spend money to do it. You couldn't just rely on some people going and doing it. For instance, okay, if you're going to have it every month, the only people that get it are the people that actually spent some money that prior month, which would suck because then you're guaranteed that you're going to have to constantly put money into it. But from a business standpoint, there's no way that Bungie could say, okay, well, we're gonna set it every month, and because what if people didn't spend enough money?
Yeah, I don't know. It's all crazy. It's all crazy. Let's why don't we get into the update and get some more details out of there? There's definitely some things I want to go over. Agrios, you have the floor.
They start off by letting us know that we may see the newest updates as soon as next week, though plans can change, and to stay tuned. In recent weeks, we've got some previews of this upcoming set of updates, including the next weapon rebalance, the new exotics, the year ones being brought up to year 2, and a very small handful of brand new ones. And here it says that tower vendors will be accepting new materials in exchange for reputation and rank. And it links to a previous update where it mentions a new use for etheric light and worm spore. Now, it never clarified what the new uses for etheric light and worm spore were, to my knowledge. Is this the new use, turning it in for rep? Remy, what do you think?
I don't know. I kind of thought that rep and rank were the same thing.
Well, I think rep is specific to the factions, and rank is your Vanguard and Crucible.
Oh, okay. Okay, that would make sense. Yeah,
Because you don't have reputation with them, you earn that from them, whereas you gain rep with the factions. They think you're cool.
No, that's exactly what I'm thinking it is. I mean, I could overthink it, but I think that that's what it is. Crimson Warlock, what do you think?
Sorry, I was muted. It's gotta be definitely those type of things. I mean, maybe it's possible that etheric light will grant you an entire rank with whoever you're at, and then worm spore, I'm guessing is going to be more for Eris, but it could be with other factions or Vanguard Crucible as well. But I could easily see etheric light being like, hey, here's a rank up, just to help you get rid of it faster.
Man, that's
Now,
crazy.
that might be pushing it, but I hope they do reward etheric light justifiably, because those were not easy to necessarily to earn at one point.
I wonder how easy it is to get now.
I don't know. I haven't tried to earn one in a long time, so I actually changed what I was going to say partway through saying it, because I realized I'm like, it might be a lot easier now.
Right, because if that was the case, then I think that they should reward it justifiably, both for the people who already have it and to point people back to previous content, because I think that would be really cool. Sharks, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally think that it's for it's just going to be like what they've done with everything else, and changing it like you would take all your energy and shards and make it into motes, and the motes became leveling up stuff. But I do hope that it's not just small increments like what that other stuff was, because it was a pain in the butt to get etheric light. I mean, I'm sitting on I think 34 of them, and if it's just going to give me not even you know half a rank, then what's the point in them doing this? But I have a feeling they're going to give you a little bit more rank than that with this, because it was a pain in the butt to get.
How much did the commendations give you? Because that's what I'm thinking you're probably going to get.
I don't know.
250 rep.
Yeah,
I
I
would
would
say
say that.
so, like almost a quarter of your rank for.
The commendations for 250 rep, a rank's 2,400 rep, right?
So it's like a
Okay.
sixth. So like for every six, you could go up.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's more like a 12th, but yeah.
Um. Oh yeah. This is a show about destiny, not about math. um. So yeah, I don't know. It sounds
So,
cool.
you know what? This is a good time to bring this up. Something you said, Remy, made me think of it, and this has been an issue that was talked about in the community this week. Destiny has an issue where it does not bring in-game content forward. It leaves all game content behind. It only generates new content. I know over the years, I guess, geez, we could over a year anyway. We've speculated that that we may see newer, harder modes. Like every time a new DLC has come out, new things have hinted at possibly us getting an upgraded Vault of Glass or an upgraded Crota's End with an extra harder mode tacked on. But we have yet to see anything like that happen at any point in Destiny. The only things that have raised continuously are the strikes, which have scaled with Nightfalls to be end game content, and not even all of those have been keeping up. So, what do you guys think about them not ever updating any of the old endgame content to keep it relevant?
Well, I think that some of the more exciting points for me are when we have revisited it through story mode and whatnot, like finding out what happened to Predith. That might be the most exciting thing that I've seen in all of Destiny. Like if I had to, it keeps coming up in my consciousness as something very exciting and very meaningful because that's he lived and then he died there alone, sometime far enough back to where all that's left are his bones. But it was some place where I had traipsed through 1,000 times, and going through even in the dark, or not the dark below, but House of Wolves, going back into the Vault of Glass. Those parts were so exciting that it doesn't make sense for them to bring these things forward, or it doesn't make sense for them to not bring these things forward, because it's content in the game that is compelling and awesome. Trying to do the jumping puzzles, it's really cool. uh, Finally getting to see that one gate open that we couldn't figure out what it was for the longest time. Like these things are incredibly exciting, and to think that there could be a Vault of Glass 2015, like that would be amazing. And so I feel like it's something like it's an ace in the hole. Like they are saving this for, I don't know, maybe even for year two, or not year two, but for the second game. But I mean, I guess this all depends on whether or not they're bringing any of this stuff forward in this next game.
And while I can appreciate the story angle, I definitely more meant along the terms of the end game content of ways to work with a team to earn a variety of different types of end game gear as well. Like we were
Totally.
talking about there being a content gap and it being stale. If they kept it relevant, as in the rewards were actually still continually beneficial to you on the higher levels of difficulty, do you think that would alleviate some of this content gap issues if there was more than just one end game raid for end game rewards that could be run each week?
Man, that would be
Oh,
crazy.
I would farm that a new look maybe of the Vault of Glass gear for my Warlock. I'd farm that again. I loved that look. That look on your gear. It was awesome.
Well, and funny enough, this is actually something that they brought up this week on Guardian Radio, because people were kind of complaining that they haven't opened it up, not even necessarily opened it up to play harder content, but open it up for people that haven't been able to do that content. Like, for instance, the easiest way to compare it is is saying open up the lighthouse so that people could just go to the lighthouse and look around, but maybe actually open it and do something as far as a story there, which there are rumors that have been floating around for a long time that something's going to drop and we're going to end up going through the lighthouse to do something because there were locked areas. But yeah, they really should do something with it and not just drop it. I mean, they kind of did with the House of Wolves, because with the House of Wolves you would go back to the planets and you would do these, these little fights with the Fallen and stuff like that. I was hoping that they would do more of that with the Taken King, but I mean, basically the Taken King is just centered around the Dreadnought, and they don't care about the other planets at all anymore.
Something I always lamented about the current systems is that you level up so fast, and you're such a focus on getting leveled up fast enough to be able to do the nightfalls that are only going to be around for this week and stuff like that. You know what I mean? There's very much incentive, especially early on, in getting leveled up to have access to things as quick as possible. Well, a new player, a Christmas Guardian coming up, or someone who even joined at Christmas last year, they were that Christmas last year was already past the Vault of Glass's time, and was it already past Crota's End time? No, that was during Crota's End time. But everybody who's joined since last Christmas to now, there's a very strong likelihood that they were leveled up well beyond the whatever the level cap was at the Vault of Glass time, Crota's End time, whatever, before they ever got a chance to go in and tackle that. So these Guardians never even had an opportunity to enjoy like an on point win against Crota or Atheon or something, because they were already level 40 by the time they ever found a 6-man group to go into Vault of Glass the first time, because they just completed all the other content they could get into before that. So none of these Guardians get to enjoy like an on level victory over any of these end game bosses. They just blow right past them. They're like some kind of generic story for the most part at this point. Once you're like super leveled up, I understand there's a cap, you can only get so far strong above them, but once you're at that cap, it's significantly easier. Once you like learn the mechanics and nothing goes glitchy on you, it's an easy win.
The thing is, I see where you're coming from, but at the same time, there are people in the community that, even how do I put it? They don't want to play on par. They would rather go back and play it easy. So,
Well, I'm not talking about those people. I'm just talking about the
right.
person who never even realized that they were going to be so ever leveled by the time they found a group for Atheon, and now they can't like turn their character back down to play him challengingly. Whereas if there was a level 40 version of the Vault of Glass right now, they could take their newfound group of friends into that and actually have a victory over Atheon the way it was meant to be had.
Yeah, but you're talking about a lot of coding. In order to, they would have to recode everything to make it level 40, and
Right,
then
just
add,
like
and then yeah, but wait, no,
every week
yeah,
work
but
out that way.
they would have to add that to last gen. So you're going to go back to, they're not going to have the memory space in order to do that at this point. And that might be one of the reasons why they're not doing it.
Possibly. I mean, they're still going to have memory space for new content. It generally is, they can't fit more space into a loaded area than there already are. Like the tower already is at like max memory with all the things that are there, so they have to have a different place to load into to add more to it. So I'm not sure, but I'm not a developer, so I'm not 100% on how memory issues work. But
I can't believe they fixed the thing where you can right trigger compare. Like somebody really pulled it out for that one. Good job, whoever that was. um, moving on.
okay, moving on. They bring up the last previously noted change. They told us that we were going to see a change coming to Titans, so that's the next place they talk about. They note that changes will be coming to all Titans, not just the now famous Sunbreakers, but also including the Striker and Defender Titans as well. We'll have to wait a little longer for the details, though, as we haven't got all those quite yet. tomorrow, Friday, December 4th, senior design lead Sage Merrill will be delivering developer commentary about what will happen to every Titan next week, including stats and insights for each of the subclasses.
This is super
So,
exciting.
yeah, I
This
mean,
is insanely
speculation.
exciting. Okay, so so the first thing that I want to bring up is when I looked at this picture, I thought for certain that this Ward of Dawn looked just gigantic. Like it looks to me so much bigger than the original Ward of Dawn that I had to make a comment and I tweeted about it. And then somebody named SDF River comments on my tweet. He says, just for the record, its diameter is easily twice the size of the current Ward of Dawn. And so, because I was thinking to myself, how are they going to change? The Defender Titan. The Defender Titan needs a buff. Recently, I saw on Twitter somebody was comparing the Sunbreaker to all of these other supers, but they conveniently left off the Fist of Havoc and the Ward of Dawn in their measurements of how long these things last. And the fact that Ward of Dawn does not attack people, I mean, how do you just not add that into your calculations? And Fist of Havoc, it's over practically before it starts. Like, to not include these two aspects in your comparison of these different supers it's basically false
Well,
advertising.
they also left out Nova Bomb in that comparison.
Did they? Well,
Yeah,
yeah, because it doesn't support their theory.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look at this Ward of Dawn. It is huge. And while initially I thought, man, how awesome would that be? I also thought, well, I don't know. This changes the whole game for a Defender Titan significantly. But at the same time, what this does is it gives the Defender Titan some place to work with. I know that I have to jump out of my Ward of Dawn as soon as somebody charges in. But this gives so much more room to work with. So this is what I'm thinking. So Sharks, what do you think is going to be a change for any of these classes, or what would you like to see for any of these classes?
Okay, well, I okay. Well, let's start with the easiest one. The Sunbreaker. Obviously, a lot of people complain that it's OP. And I totally see where they're coming from, because it's unless you have your entire fire team shooting at a Sunbreaker when it's coming at you, it's you better run like hell and get away because you're not going to take them out. Even in fact, you can't even take them out with a super sometimes, which really bugs the crap out of me. If they've already killed somebody, what I think they should do with that super would be to either make it more like a golden gun where you have only so many hammers to shoot to throw instead of this kind of like almost feels like infinite hammers, which it's not, or take away the ability to when you hit somebody that you have this overshield that it's almost impossible to get through. As far as the Titan bubble, I don't know. It's kind of hard because that that's a super that if you're really really good at a defender Titan, it's pretty powerful as it is right now. But I I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I would do to the Titan bubble. Fist of Havoc. Maybe it just needs a little bit more power because they're not as powerful against a lot of the new supers now, but
Like maybe blast radius?
yeah, something a little bit larger. Actually, you know what I think I would like to do with the Titan bubble is have a setting on it. You know how you can wear your helmet Saint 14, well, and then people are blinded. Well, have a setting where if somebody goes in there, it actually does damage to them.
Right? That
because
would be cool.
that would be kick ass. Maybe that's what they're looking at, doing something like that. So larger blast area for Fist of Havoc, and an ability to actually be an offensive weapon for the Titan Bubble. Because if you look at every other super in the game, even the Shadow Shot is supposed to be a defensive weapon, but you can kill people with it. You can't kill people with the Titan Bubble.
So the only problem I see with the Ward of Dawn doing damage is that you wouldn't know necessarily unless you were communicating well with your team if that Titan bubble was yours or the other team's. So
Yeah.
they'd have to mark the bubble somehow with like
Well, that
maybe a different color.
But that's a problem that you have with the Nova Bomb also. I mean, I hate going into, if somebody drops a Nova Bomb, or you shoot even the lightning grenades, you get that stuff sitting there and you're like, do I really want to take the risk and run through it if I'm playing by myself?
Yeah.
Because I don't know what's happening. I mean, that's been a complaint by people for a long time, that they should change the color of all of the supers when it's your team or the other team. But yeah,
That would be kind of interesting if all the different supers had just one color that was associated with it because it was red versus blue, a sort of a thing.
yeah, that would be awesome.
What do you think,
Well,
Crimson
one thing they
Warlock?
could do is, instead of having to change the colors of the supers, they could just make static supers, ones that stayed in place, pulse the other color.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could
Like,
see
go on
that.
with your reply.
So one thing that I really think they need to do. So like Sharks was saying, you can throw like a lot of hammers. It's 5 if you don't have the node that gives you more hammers, and it's 8 if you do have that node on.
Wow.
But I think they need to reduce that number by probably 1 normally. So you have 4 hammers, and then the extra hammers give you 2 extra. I feel like that would probably nerf a lot of that we're seeing. But I also think the healing or the overshield needs to be on a cooldown to where it can only
Or at least
happen
reduce the
once
number.
every 5 seconds or something. Because I wish I recorded this just to kind of show my frustration. But I was in Iron Banner the other day, well, when it was going on, and I have Scattershot on my Warlock, and Sunbreaker Titan came around the corner, and I used my super against him, and he threw a hammer right before 2 of my scatters hit him, and the first one would have killed him, but he killed someone, so he started regenerating his life. The second one hit him and stopped his regeneration, and then he killed me.
Yeah,
So
I've
he
had that happen
basically
too.
took
Yep.
2 super attacks that normally 1 super kills a person. He took 2 of them and still survived. So like that to me is definitely something that needs to be changed, because that's not a super counteracting a super. That's just one totally
Well,
overpowering the other.
and you say that, if you think about a warlock, if a warlock supered and goes and does a punch, they get an overshield. Well, when that overshield's gone and they're still super, they don't get another. They don't get another overshield. I don't think.
If you
Per,
have the cooldowns right, you can. There are builds that let you do
mm,
it. But yes, like there that will probably need to be addressed when they do warlocks, because I'm assuming they will too. The Word of Dawn for me has been kind of interesting just because I felt in a lot of ways it's one of those super, like, it's a weird supporting super because it makes you turtle up with your fire team. And one thing that I think would make Word of Dawn more interesting is if it gave your Titan a shield that would kind of cover, like, say 130 degrees in front of the Titan in an arc, and he could move, but it would stop all incoming damage in that one direction. And so the fire team could turtle behind the Titan, but it turns him into a more mobile shield instead of turtling up and kind of um, being super stationary in PvP. it'd make him more mobile, but it also would allow for more interesting counterplay. I feel something that the Titan could shoot through, but only the Titan because he's moving around. He can shoot through his shield, something like that. That would maybe just shake it up and make that super a little bit more fun to play in different aspects. But definitely they need to allow you to receive some sort of credit for killing things while that super is active. Just I mean, the for example, the those unfortunate titans who picked up their void sword to do the exotic sword quest. The void grenades aren't the best for the titan, and then you have a super that you can't really use to get credit while you're doing that. And so they definitely, I think, need to make Word of Dawn um, able to get some kind of credit of your kills while it's active to count towards different bounties or anything like that.
And what do you think about the Striker Titan?
I think the Striker Titan honestly he's really well done except for the grenades. I feel like the Striker Titan could use maybe a new type of grenade similar to what the Solar Titan's new grenade is. Just something that's maybe a little bit more flashy and um, just one of those maybe redo their grenades a little bit. But I feel like most of the supers actually pretty well done. If you are used to playing with it, like I honestly I love using Helm of Inmost Light with Death from Above on. Like I love using that. I think it's one of the funner parts of being a striker Titan is comboing those
Definitely.
abilities together. So I feel like Striker is really solid as it is, but I'm excited to see the changes in all the subclasses for the Titan.
Definitely. Agrios, what do you think? What are your predictions for this? What do you want to see?
Well, the Sunbreaker, pretty much what everybody else said. Fewer hammers, like Crimson's idea of one less for the unbuffed version, and only adding two instead of three for the buffed version would probably help that out. I think it deserves more shots than say Golden Gun, because Golden Gun has a bit more range and maybe direct accuracy in its use than hammers do. Um, and definitely a little bit less defense from the overshield type situations. Like, I don't feel like any of the classes should be able to tank a rocket directly to the face or another super directly to the face and live. Um, that's probably the main changes to the Sunbreaker I would do. The Defender Titan needs a significant buff, but only for PvP. I think it's extremely strong in PvE and totally sufficient, so I wouldn't want whatever buffs were done to it to make it too strong for PvE, so to speak. I think the larger bubble would be cool and all. I think the Titan who puts up the bubble should always have somewhat of like maybe a lesser version of armor of light inside his own bubble, even when he has blessing or something else on. He needs to be stronger when in his own bubble all the time, at least a little bit. I always thought it would be cool if when you popped your bubble, if it did a significant amount of damage to all enemies that end up inside it just in the instant that you pop it, kind of like the Strikers does in a radius, but much less damage. Maybe just barely putting all the enemies inside the bubble to one hit non-charged melee range, somewhere in that neighborhood, just so that, the Titan who pops it can then, take out one or two at that point in time while the others have to run away because they've been damaged. They can't just stay there and continue to try to shotgun the Titan in his bubble.
I like it.
Yeah, something along those lines. And I think as far as the Defender Titan goes, I think if they do buff him enough to start becoming used, people are going to discover the wonder of the Suppression Grenade, especially in combination with the Armamentarium. The Suppression Grenade just totally shuts down other supers, and it's a lot of fun to use in PvP. It's just the fact that your super with the Defender Titan is so specific in its use that it makes it unattractive for most people to play in PvP. So the Suppression Grenade goes kind of unappreciated. For the Striker Titan, I think that's a pretty well balanced class. I like it. I don't think it needs many changes to it. I don't think it's too strong or too weak. The Striker, whatever they call it, the strike, is sufficiently strong for the range at which you have to get in to use it. The one thing I'm afraid of is that they're actually going to end up nerfing the lightning grenade. I think the lightning grenade with the Striker Titan is probably the best grenade in existence for PvP anyway. I've gotten, by a large margin, more kills with that than any other type of grenade on any other character, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
It's what it is it doesn't make a huge permanent field like a lot of the other grenades that are area denial, like the solar grenade or the void grenade that makes the big glowing field. You can see that and avoid it real easy. Whereas if you strategically stick that lightning grenade in just the right spot and just the right choke point, people have no idea it's there, especially between pulses. And the amount of time between when they look down this hall to run into it and actually do so can definitely be between pulses, or even if the pulse does happen, a lot of times they don't even notice it. They think it's a one-time shot and isn't going to happen again in the same place. And those pulses will just instantly kill anybody who walks directly into them. So I'm afraid that grenade could get a little bit of a nerf. One thing I want to say about Crimson's idea about the mobile defender shield, I think it would be a really cool idea, and I've heard a lot of other people say about being able to move it somehow would be ideal. I think the only problem with that method right now is the current shotgun game would make basically anybody with a mobile defender bubble an unstoppable shotgun machine. Because by the time they're within the bubble to get shot, or the bubble's past the point of protection, you're dead from their shotgun.
Well, that's why from my idea is kind of like it's a like 130-degree arc in front of the Titan. So if someone's able to get a couple of good shots behind them before the Titan can turn around to stop that damage, you can stop that super.
True.
But yeah, I definitely agree. A vastly mobile shield, especially with the helm of Saint 14, would make a very annoying shotgun Titan to deal with.
Problem. If they did something about the shotguns to somehow, I mean, if they really took them back out of the game, like made all shotguns that they had to be a 2-shot kill, then I'd say that's totally viable. But as long as it is that all shotguns are 1-shot kills within the range that they currently are, that's where the mobile bubble, I think, has problems. Although I think it would be a lot of fun to use.
What about if it didn't follow you, but you could roll it, like you're looking down a lane, and you choose the lane for it to go in the direction, and then you could follow it, or it could just move.
Oh, that would be cool. You mean you pick whatever direction you're looking when you pop it, it starts just rolling that way. It doesn't stop till it hits a wall or something.
Yeah. It doesn't.
Then you could be protected if you stay inside the shield, or your allies can, and anyone who hits it on the opposite team just dies.
That's hilarious.
That would be fun to use with the helm of Saint 14. Just somebody's camped out somewhere, and you just send that just giant ball of blinding their direction.
I just picture Benny Hill style, like a big purple, like being a guardian in a tunnel and like looking down the end of the tunnel and just seeing a big purple defender ball roll by and a whole bunch of guardians like running after it.
All right. Anything else on this, or let's move on?
All right, moving on. So that's all the changes they've clued us in on. But the full patch notes will come alongside of the actual patch, like I said, as early as next week, but they'll keep us informed of the specific date and time. Next up, they bring in the new statistics of the week section again, and they discuss the newly revealed challenge mode. As of today, Thursday, December 3rd, 339,900,000 Guardians have unlocked the Wormguard Servant emblem. That was as of lunch Bungie time. So and that's only been available since reset. So over the course of those 3 days, 339,900 Guardians have beat challenge mode. Now, along with the new emblem, the boss challenge also offers additional high-end loot. We discussed that a bit, like such as 310 light level gear for normal mode and 320 light level gear for hard. They go on to say that this is one of 3 optional challenges that will be featured each week. And for those wondering if the challenge will ramp up at Golgoroth, let us know what you think next week. So they told us that there are 3 different challenge modes in this statement. They told us that Golgoroth is next week, and they also pretty much threw it out there that, yeah, next week's is harder. And Golgoroth was the challenge they taunted originally when they talked about challenge mode for the first time, saying that the one bubble strategy wouldn't work anymore. So predictions for next week. And I mean, we pretty much already discussed how we felt about challenge mode as a whole, but where do you think we're going to see for the remaining 2 challenges, Remy?
Man, that's a really good question. To be perfectly honest, I don't even know what those things look like right now.
Do you want me
I
to fill you in on, I mean, should I say what the current challenge is, how it works?
I don't know. What do you guys think? Yay? Nay?
I'd say it's not really spoilery. Most people who probably listen to our show probably are either already aware of it or interested to know.
Yeah, hit it.
So the current challenge this week at War Priest is simple as the person to step on the little button last who gets the buff that allows everybody to do such great damage to the War Priest just has to simply be a different person each time. And it seems that the War Priest is shooting his little blast a little faster, and that's about it.
Crazy, and you get some sweet gear from that. That sounds
Yep.
awesome. Sharks, when you did it, was it challenging, or did you just think, well, alrighty then, here's my loot?
Okay, so the first time we went in for the first character, I was the one with the bubble first, so we went through and did that, and literally right after we were done with our bubble, I died. I died because I got hit by this stupid big black blob that the war police throws at you, and I was like, can't believe I died. How stupid was I? Um, and so we finished it. We went in the second time. The second time we were doing something, everybody was screwing around, and I died again. And the team, they're like, "Really, Sharks? You're gonna die again?" But somebody else died too, so I didn't feel so bad. And the third time we went in, uh, I was like, hell no, I'm not going to go in there and die all 3 times because this is actually really easy to do the warp race, especially if you have a group that's halfway decent, and our group is halfway decent. And somebody else died. That was it. So I got it the first time, and then the second time somebody else got it, and we were down on center, and they died. We didn't realize we realized they died, but we didn't realize who got the buff. Apparently I got the buff. We killed the war priest and we had to do it all over again.
Yeah, that sounds challenging.
Yeah, but it's really to be quite honest, it's really not. I mean, I understand why everybody was complaining. Teams like, for instance, Dado's team that go in and do the raid 10 times a week that have done it over and over and over again. They wanted something that really was challenging, and it's not, because if you're going in there with a full fire team and you are using, especially if you're using high leveled guns, you can actually take the war priest down in one. You don't even need two, and majority of the time it's going to be 2 different people doing it anyways, and that's why at first people weren't even sure what the actual challenge mode was, because it was kind of random. But I have a feeling, with Golgoroth that it's going to be a little bit harder, because they're obviously they're gonna drop those bubbles uh, in different spots. You can't drop it in the same spot, which makes it pretty tough. And it wouldn't surprise me if there was a specific order that you had to drop the bubbles in, and that's going to make it even tougher.
Yeah, my thought for hard mode Golgoroth is you pick a direction, and or you start with one orb and you have to either go clockwise or counterclockwise for that fight with the orbs. That's my guess, because that would definitely make that encounter a lot more difficult. But I don't know. That's just kind of my guess. Is you pick an orb and then you have to either go clockwise or counterclockwise with the orbs from that direction.
Well, not only that, I can't even think. I don't even know if I've ever actually done an orb in the middle. I mean, you're really really close to him. Does he kill you if you're standing that close?
Well, not while he's frozen in place with his chest open. He doesn't do anything. So you just have to make sure you don't go in early and you leave before he can move again.
See, if that's all it is, then it's still
I
going to
think
be
it's just going to
easy.
simply be don't use the same bubble twice or
Yeah,
same
which
thing.
I totally think that too. And then if that's what it is, there's gonna be a huge uproar next week. But I have a feeling it's not. I think you're gonna have to. I think it's gonna be a pattern. It wouldn't
So
surprise me if it's a pattern.
Golgoroth is kind of interesting. There's a lot of different kind of facets to his fight that can be manipulated by the players. And someone noted that the spot on his back actually it does a significant amount of damage itself. And they have a theory they wrote up on Reddit about a way of beating Golgoroth utilizing that crit spot and essentially just keep him spinning around in the middle of the room. And there's also an interesting thing that was discovered that if you are the Golgoroth, if you're holding Golgoroth's gaze and you turn invisible, he loses his gaze on you but does not spawn the extra ads. There's actually a special phrase that comes up down in the corner. It says, like, Golgoroth loses his target or something. Like, it says something different than what it never normally says.
That's exciting.
And so there's a way of manipulating him using characters with invisibility, such as the Night Stalker and the Blade Dancer. So I'm sure there are more elaborate, easy ways for Golgoroth to be beaten using those more interesting methods. It's just the simple fact is that he's too easy to beat using a super singular shortcut method. And, people are going to take the path of least resistance. Nobody really usually wants to go and say, hey, let's spend an extra, half hour working on Golgoroth to beat him a specific way for the exact same rewards. Like, people's time is valuable.
Well,
So
especially when I feel like part of Destiny's problem right now is that is history repeats itself. So one of the main reasons why I'm not pushing much harder to do the raid, and I want to do the raid. I want to sit down and play video games, but life is really compelling right now. Like my 11-month-old just started to walk, and so it's life is very interesting right now, and but so one of the reasons why I'm not so interested in pushing for this Kingsfall raid is because once the next DLC comes out, all of this is means nothing. With each DLC comes a new higher level cap, and I'm not interested in grinding out right now so that I can grind out then. I'm almost in this mode where I want to see what happens next to see where I can best put my time. Because sure, I
Mhm.
could I could get some LFG groups, or I could even call up a bunch of Guardian One, and we could go and do it and set up a day and everything's cool. But if this is all going to mean diddly squat in just a small time here, what am I playing here for? This is one of
especially since you can't even just keep your winnings as trophies anymore because there's just simply not room to. Like, you
But
can't even just these things and keep them as trophies.
what if they've decided to go back to that where you can? And for instance, like I infused all my raid gear into my Iron Banner gear because I like the Iron Banner gear. What if when the next DLC comes out and they up the light that they continue along this path that you can infuse everything. So if I want to, I can infuse my gear that I have now. See, maybe they've actually fixed the problem and that you can actually keep stuff
That's
now.
a pretty big assumption, though, because we could use etheric light before and they didn't stick with that, so I have no reason to believe they're going to stick with this.
Yeah,
right.
but the etheric light was really is like boom, you make it max. Here it's you work it up to do it. You're infusing constantly. I mean, I still have an issue with infusion anyways, the way it is, but if they keep it along the lines where you can infuse stuff, then I can get stuff and I can infuse it.
Right,
And
that's a big
right,
if, though.
yeah, no, you're right. It is a big if, but that goes back along the lines of why
Well,
are
they have to
people that
come out
are
and say, this is permanent, and you're going to have access to it so that we can plan for that. That
yeah, I
would
know,
solve that problem.
yeah,
But
but
they haven't
that
done it yet, so that makes me believe they wouldn't, because
yeah,
we get
this
people to play and collect more if they did, but they
yeah,
haven't.
but this goes back to the same thing is that the people that are playing now and that the people aren't, why are the people that are playing? For instance, why do I log on every day? Because I enjoy doing PvP. Because when I do get into a random fire team for a raid, it's fun. It's not necessarily about all that other gear. It's not about keeping stuff anymore, which it was in the beginning for me. I mean, I actually still have stuff that I haven't gotten rid of, but that's not the whole point in Destiny. They've already made that quite clear.
Now, if they made it clear that the rolls I were getting now on armor and weapons could continue to stay with me and be infused up, I would be interested in spending more time getting those new and interesting and various rolls right now. But as it sits, like I predicted at the beginning of this DLC, I was eventually going to get an armor set that worked for me, a set of weapons that have good enough rolls that work for me, and then be happy and not be needing to get putting in an extra 1,000 hours to get a variety of different rolls on these guns that are simply going to be obsolete in a few weeks. Now, if they would come out and tell me that, hey, infusion's permanent, whatever you get now, you're going to be able to continue to infuse up with you throughout the remainder of Destiny 1, I'd be a lot more interested in getting a variety of different roles. And I think me hoping that was the future was the cause of me desiring to put in the amount of hours I was before getting those new versions of roles and things.
The problem with you thinking that way, though, is that means that when they announce these exotics that are coming out, whenever they're coming out, that you're going to be like, who gives a shit? Because there's going to be an update coming shortly after that with a new DLC, and that gun's going to be obsolete. So why even bother getting it?
Correct.
Yeah, but then you go back to the thing. Then why are you playing?
That's the only reason I'm playing right now, is to have fun playing with my friends. So when my friends are on playing, I play with them and have fun playing with them, but I don't care about the rewards.
Right. I mean, I'm a gamer. I enjoy playing video games, even games that I'm never going to go back to. One of these games I'm enjoying right now is called Broken Age, and it was a game that's done by Double Fine Studios. It's either the top um, funded Kickstarter game, or it's close to the top. It holds some kind of record, and it's not something that I saw it and I was like, well, this looks cool, but I'm not spending money on this. And it became the PSN free game, and I downloaded it and I played it, and it is amazing, and it is something I would absolutely positively had paid money to buy.
Wait, what game? What's the name of it?
Broken Age.
Okay.
And it's it's amazing. I love the way the characters are crafted, both visually and in the game. I've reached a point now where I can't really talk about it because I would be ruining it for people who haven't played it yet. But it's so much fun, and I feel like once I beat it, I will not ever go back and play it again. But I enjoyed doing it as a gamer. I want to play video games, and so with Destiny, I'm so much more drawn to it in the overall. I just wish I knew how best to use my time there. Like steampunk something, Steam. There was a game that was also a PSN free one. It was like you play this robot whose robot uncle has disappeared, and he leaves you this mine, and you have to dig into the earth. It touches like a Minecrafty button. Um, and I beat it, and it was great, and I definitely would have paid $15 for it if I had known it was going to be that awesome. And now I'm just not going to play it anymore. Like I've moved on, but Destiny is different in that it is ongoing, and it is something that I can play with my friends. Like I feel like I always want to play Destiny, and with the love and care and attention they put into um, the gunplay, it's something that I just want to know what the next thing I should do is.
Right. See, this is the thing that I think this is why I continue to play, is because there is the opportunity to play with all of our other friends that are online. Even though I have the same problem that Agrios does. I log on in the daytime, and literally I have maybe 3 or 4 people on, and that's it out of the 200 people that I have on my friends list. When it's normally pages and pages of stuff. But what really it kind of makes me laugh is that if you now, this is coming from somebody that didn't play World of Warcraft, so I'm not comparing it to that kind of game, and maybe that's what the problem is. But it's not. This is not an MMO like that. I bought Call of Duty, and I played Call of Duty for, oh shoot, I don't know, a year and a half. And in fact, would come home and she'd be like, I can't believe you're still playing that game. Why are you still playing that game? And I go, well, I don't know, I really like that. Why don't you go and buy another game? I bought a game, I didn't like it. I went back to Black Ops. And I think that's the mindset that we should have for Destiny 2, is that we have this thing that we think that we're going to get all this new content all the time. It's always going to be fresh. That's not realistic in games. I mean, maybe it is in some of these MMOs that are out there, but any game that I've ever played, it's never been that way. I grew up. I'm going to show my age. I grew up and I remember when Mario Brothers came out, and playing Mario Brothers over and over and over again. And we passed that game, and my friend's mom would come in and go, "Didn't you, like, you guys have been playing that same game for months and months and months? I'm sure that you finished that." Yeah, we loved it. We loved playing it. And I think that's the same thing with Destiny. We got to think it that way, is that you're not going to have all this content, but you're going to go out there and you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to enjoy it more because you have the opportunity to play it with these other like-minded people that enjoy playing it with you too.
Yeah.
Well, the great thing that I do like about Destiny is, when you do find something that, for the moment, is more entertaining, Destiny's still going to be there when you finish that game. There's still going to be plenty of Destiny to keep playing after your interest in other games have waned, and that's what I like. Kind of right now, I am enjoying a few other games and taking a small break from Destiny. But honestly, as soon as any sort of new content is announced, I will definitely be back in Destiny to try and finish up what I wanted to in the Taken King before moving on to new stuff. But it is nice that there is that option, but because there's so much content, that there's always something to come back to in Destiny. I feel there's a meme, and I laughed at this meme that I saw, and it was a couple weeks before Fallout and everything else started coming out, but um, it was basically like, oh, I'm dropping Destiny for this game, I'm dropping Destiny for this game, and the bottom of it showed I think it was a speaker, and it says, yeah, we'll see you back in a month, and that's kind of how I feel like Destiny is it's great, and when you feel you're burned out for a bit, take a break and then come back, and it's just as good as it was, before you felt like you needed to take a break from it. And so I feel like, even though there are content gaps, I appreciate those, just so that I can be a gamer and not just a Destiny player. I can enjoy a whole lot of other games. So that is one thing I am thankful for a content gap right now. But I'm itching for new stuff to do in Destiny.
They've made it a point to tell us on several occasions that they too are gamers. Like, one of the things that they feel makes their product so worthy is that they also enjoy playing games, and so for them to create X amount of work for themselves to play on top of all these other games they want to play, because I don't know, I'm 100% positive that studio has been or is in the grips of Fallout 4. Like, that they are enjoying that game as gamers. Probably a healthy percentage of them are totally enjoying that game.
Well, didn't you say that? Didn't you see Irk actually made a comment something along that lines? He goes, "Well, I know all my friends are playing Fallout 4," and he was talking. He goes, "But I'm gonna stream some Destiny tonight." Or then he did it during Thanksgiving too. He goes, "Oh, I know everybody's actually enjoying Thanksgiving, but I'm gonna stream some Destiny tonight. Just because." But yeah, I mean, of course they do. Of course they're gamers and they do that.
We got to move on, but I wanted to draw your attention. Every time we talk about user design versus user experience, I think about this image right here. It's I think it really sums up the whole user design versus user experience, and it's exactly what you're talking about, Agrios. There's a way they intend for you to go, like they've created this path, they've created this nook, what this is how you're supposed to walk, and what people have done, because it's easier to do this, is just deviate just a couple of feet before they get to where they're supposed to go to, and just walk around it. Like this illustrates perfectly what I see every time we talk about this. So, moving on.
Oh, turning off the mute button. Moving on. Gets me once in a while there still. All right, so moving on to the movie of the week this week. The movie of the week itself was 1v1 Oryx mode. So someone took out Oryx 1v1. It's a pretty crazy video.
That's amazing. I hopped into the stream at some point because Urk had tweeted out. He says, what's most impressive to me is that this guy is actively addressing his the people in the chat, and he's lining up these ogres, and he's DPSing the boss. And so I want to watch this. I still haven't beat it. I still want it to be fresh. So I turned it off pretty quickly after I started watching, because I thought, you know what, I will still just save this for whenever I show up here. But seriously, to solo this, I mean, that's outstanding, and I feel like it's something that was going to happen at some point. I don't know that I expected it so quickly or casually, but that's awesome. That's awesome. Did you watch this, Agrios?
I have.
Was it amazing, or was it like, oh, I don't know why more people can't do this?
He's better than me.
Is he?
Well, he also had some high level stuff. He was using sleeper stimulant, and it was a 318 version of it, and he was running a warlock at 313. So, but I mean, all credit to him. I had seen Urk send out that tweet, but I was like, yeah, I'm going to bed, and I woke up. I couldn't sleep last night, so I woke up and they were tweeting out the feed, and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna watch it now, because it was only a 15-minute from start to finish of doing it. I mean, he's kick butt. That guy deserved the last few movies of the week. I've been kind of like, I'm not so sure if that's necessarily worthy. This thing here is, forget movie of the week. That's movie of the year.
Well put.
Crimson Warlock, did you see that?
I have not gotten a chance to see it, but I do want to see it. So it's in my watch later list on YouTube.
Excellent. Agrios.
So the some of the other movies this week include a blindfolded Crota run. Although this is not new. This was done before this DLC ever dropped previously. So I actually didn't get a chance to. Oh, okay. Here's the difference, though. This one was no help.
So he didn't have anyone telling him how far he was away from anything?
Right. He had to he had to like memorize his movements and such, I suppose.
That's pretty crazy.
Like time everything. Like I hold this one this long, I hold this one this long type idea. I did not watch this one the whole way through. I like started it and then got distracted. So I have not checked this out. Now, previously, with a guided run, Dado has done this previously with the help of Leopard Stealth, one person telling him, okay, you need to, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, this, that,
That's awesome. That's awesome, too.
And another runner-up this week was a double kill on a pair of Sunbreakers. 2 Sunbreakers had popped, and a Striker Titan came in to save the day. It was a pretty good shot. And the final one was an anti-bubble grenade. A hunter went leaping through a obviously not armor of light Titan bubble and left a area control grenade right in the middle of it, and managed to triple down. So it's some fairly decent little PvP plays caught on video. worth checking out. Nothing in comparison to the 1v1 Oryx video we discussed, though. So after the videos, they moved on to the final bit here. They say, here's a final shopping tip. If you see something you like on the Eververse store, something you've been meaning to pick up any day now, this is a good time to grab it. The December update will refresh the inventory available from Tess. She'll put the stuff you see now in some bags you can still acquire with some silver, but their contents will be less direct and predictable. So this could be quite controversial. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the show. Now they did a similar situation with the Halloween run where that flaming skull mask was locked behind a random RNG legendary package that you had to buy with real world money, essentially making it a real world money slot machine. Apparently, these old dances are going to get locked behind something similar. We don't have the exact details yet, but from the sounds of it, it seems like a very, very similar situation to having to buy RNG packages with real world money. Now, these slot machine type effects with real world money, I am not a fan of in games, especially games that do target children. I think, like, I'll go so far as to say I kind of feel like it's unethical, immoral, and like cruel, even, especially to some of the kids who maybe can't afford it. And it could even put them up in comparison against friends who did have more money and they could afford the things. And I just don't like the situation at all, because it can end up costing a large amount of money to accomplish various things in that situation. So what do you guys think about this whole scenario?
Well, I'll chime in first. You guys know that I went and bought silver so I could get that skull at Halloween, and I think it's a horrible idea. If they want to charge $20 for it, charge $20 for it, but don't put it behind. Ooh, you might spend 20, 30, 40, $50. I mean, obviously, I'm going way overboard. That's not gonna happen. You would hope, but
Well, it
anytime
might. I mean, there's a lot of dances.
I know, and so it's like I think that this is stupid. If they if they want to pull this stuff off because they want to put new stuff on there, well, no, I can't see how they can even pull it off when you can go to the when you can go up to the stupid kiosk and say, oh, I want to download that one. You should just have it there and just have a set price for it. Don't do this random crap. That's just gonna
Purely a money
piss
maker.
people off. Yeah, it is. It really is money. I mean, the Eververse is money making anyways. We all understand that. But
It's not a scheme; it's a business model.
Right.
This is
when they start making it that this is going to a casino. I mean, I live. There are two casinos within 30 minutes of me, and I don't go to the casino because I don't like to gamble. This is gambling, and this is bullshit. They shouldn't be doing this, period.
Yeah, I don't like to gamble either. I always feel gross.
My real beef is, like, you're going to have a lot of Christmas Guardians coming up here for getting, the new Taken King for Christmas. Now, a lot of these kids might just be getting their PlayStation 4 for the first time this Christmas, and, have maybe even been holding off getting Destiny till they have a PlayStation 4. And because you can't upgrade the way you could in the past with, like, the Taken King edition and stuff like that. So you're going to have these kids coming at Christmas time. Maybe some of them, they're going to see other people out here that already have had the game, and they're going to have, like, the Carlton, for instance, dance and whatnot. Well, if they want that, it's apparently going to be locked behind some RNG package wall that they could, like Shark said, they could spend 10, 20, 30. I mean, what if it's you get two random discontinued dances for 500 silver? And the legendary ones are even rarer than the blue ones. Well, the Carlton's a legendary dance. So, very easily some kid could spend $50 and still not get it for himself. And now that kid's out $50, maybe doesn't have anything that he likes, maybe even has doubles of other dances. Who knows how it's going to work?
Oh man, that would be crazy. Although I can't see them doing that. I can't see them doing doubles. That doesn't, like, you're going to pay real money to have something that's a double. Although that's not to say that it's not. Oh my God!
Yeah, you did it in Halloween. I did it over and over and over again with the Halloween package.
Totally. but you being in a kitchen kind of threw me off there for a second,
But
Sharks.
so the thing with the Halloween packages though is, you know, those items were still, you still could use them for other things. Whereas like if you get a double of a dance, you can't do anything with that. It's not like you can
True.
dismantle a dance and get 100 silver back or something. You know,
Maybe you
you
will be
can't
able
do
to.
that. But
Maybe you will be
I
able to
totally
handle
agree
it.
that if you do start getting doubles, then the system is horrible and it really shouldn't exist. I mean, making anybody, I mean, you know, I see it as, you know, opening up a pack of magic cards or something. Yeah, you don't know what you're gonna get, and you can get doubles, but at least, you know, you can trade those, or there's value in some of those cards. Whereas with
Yeah,
this, you know, you can't trade dances to other people. You can't,
Right?
as of right now. I mean, yeah, you can get refunds for one thing you purchase, but I don't think Tess is going to offer a refund for every dance that you open in a package of however many come. You know,
right.
like
Some
it's,
grab bag.
yeah.
I
So Agrios, I have an issue with your phrase target kids or target children. Like I feel like that's a little bit stronger than it needs to be, just because I feel like when
oh
Bungie made Halo, uh, it was an M for mature game. It shouldn't have been, because there's other M for mature games that are like insanely different and worse. Like you can't compare something like Silent Hill to something like Halo. You know, like it's not the same at all. But they received the same rating. So I feel like they're not targeting kids or children
see
with
with
Destiny so
me
much so
go
much
ahead.
as
Sorry.
they are understanding that thousands and millions of kids did play Halo, even though it was rated M for mature. I think it's just an acknowledgement. Like they said, you know what? We know that kids are going to play this, so why don't we shoot for the next level down? Because we know, like, if kids are going to play this M for mature game, then it's a really easy stepping stone logic to think that it's let's just work on this aspect. We're not going to change our vision of it so much that it can't be the same one, but like let's tone it down just the slightest. Even though I have to say that Destiny is scarier than Halo was. I
I
wasn't.
I want
Well,
to chime in real quick. I understand why Agrios says kids, because he's trying to make a point, but
no, it
but
has to do with where they spend their advertising money.
yeah, but the thing is I think it doesn't really make a difference, because if we go
It
back
does.
and no wait, the reason I'm going to say it doesn't make a difference, they're going to say it doesn't make a difference. We don't care, because they have said from the beginning that that's what they're doing with this game, because that's what RNG is. You're paying to play RNG. And I don't agree with it, because I don't agree that we should spend money on RNG. But in reality, you're doing that anyways in this game. And there was a big, huge article.
No, but that's different. It's not a slot machine effect. You can't, when you play the game, you can only spend X amount of money to get RNG. Like there's a cap. If you spend this, then you have all the RNG opportunity of everyone else.
Yeah,
This
but
is
what I'm
not the
saying,
same as that.
no, but what I'm saying is there was this big article, and I'm gonna have to find it, and I'll send it to you if I can find it. It was a long time ago, but somebody was talking about the RNG system of Destiny. They were actually talking about a lot of different games, but they said Bungie has implemented this into their game, and they've done it on purpose. It's a very, very smart system, and they were talking about RNG, and they were saying how RNG is basically like gambling. And then what they did is they compared it to other like mobile games that you can do this with, like Candy Crush. I don't know if you can actually buy stuff for Candy Crush, because I've never played it, but you're spending money to do it. That's what Bungie had, or if it's not Bungie, Activision, whoever it is that's decided to do this,
But
has decided to implement that same philosophy, because that's what they started with to begin with. They just weren't implementing the money scheme of it. I don't like it, but I understand why they're doing it and how they're doing it, and saying, we're not, like Remy saying, oh, don't put the kids. You can't put the kids because they do that with all games.
Okay,
No,
so
but
I
this is
see
the
what you're
difference. It's
saying.
where you're spending the advertising money. They are targeting kids. If they work to get less than an M rating, and they're spending money to advertise directed at children, they're targeting kids.
Crickets.
Well, I don't know what to say to that. I mean, I don't see how you're saying that they're just targeting kids. When you look
They're
at an
not just targeting kids. If
yeah, but
they target,
they're not,
it's just
but
like
they're
Camel,
not.
they had to stop making Camel Joe cartoons because cartoons target kids according
No,
to like the
but wait a
law.
minute. They're not targeting. I don't understand. I don't want to back Bungie on this because I think that this is crap. I don't agree with the paying for anything as far as RNG, but I can't see how you're saying that they're even
Making a
contemplating
product with
target.
any intent to be used by
Wait.
kids.
Wait a minute. They're
Go ahead.
not turning around and they're not putting these ads on after Kermit the Frog or some kind of early morning kids programs. When they actually put this on, they put it on during the Super Bowl. They put it on during Monday Night Football. They're putting it on for
I'm not
adults.
saying they target exclusively kids. They target adults too.
It's a video game.
Well, I think, but you saying
They're
target?
putting effort for getting more kids to play the game.
No, I don't.
If
No, they're
they're not
putting
saying
more people,
adult
more
only,
people.
it's
They're
18-year-old only, and only advertising where 18-year-olds are expected to see it, then they would be intentionally not targeting kids. But now they're targeting kids as well as adults.
All right, I don't
I didn't
agree
say
with
they're targeting.
you. I agree with you when you said that in the beginning you could only pay X amount. Like, and this was one of the things that I really liked about Destiny was that there was one price. There was buy Destiny, and then it became RNG. Well, here's your time. You're spending your time, and what are you gonna get? Who knows? But now with this new system where there's real money at play, what are you gonna get? Doesn't freaking fly, you know. But targeting kids to me sounds like they're leaving out the rest. They're targeting gamers. They're targeting people who want to play their game or who could possibly want to
No,
play
I
their
think
game.
you're mistaken on target. I mean targeting as in they're designing their product with the intent of getting kids to play it at all, period. They're not designing their product for the intent to exclude kids. Therefore, they are targeting kids, along with everybody else. If you're
All right.
making a product that includes kids among its targeted audiences, then this is unethical to me.
So how do you not include kids? Like I
Figure
am
out
a kid. I am a 37-year-old kid, Agrios. I'm a 37-year-old kid.
I understand that. Well, first off, they worked to get less than a mature rating. That was their first effort to target children. If
I
they
don't think
didn't
so.
care, if they didn't want children to be playing this game because they were going to design an economic money system that should only be exposed to adults, they would have just thrown an M rating on it and not had to worry about it.
Yeah, but wait a
So
minute.
that was
They don't have a child rating. They have a teen. Teens. There's a big difference
right. Under
between
18, that's
there's a
kids.
big difference between kids and
It doesn't matter
teens.
to me if you're under 18. If you're a 13-year-old kid,
What about
you're
19?
still living from parents' money, and you could still not have money. You still can't work a normal job and have your own money. You're still going to school. You're a kid.
All right, we got to move on.
Like, I
uh,
wouldn't find this at all immoral and unethical if they only targeted adults with the game. Because adults are intelligent and have their own money and can do their own thing with it. It's when you put this situation where a parent has 4 or 5 kids and maybe more one of them want these things from this game. It's this RNG experience, or even if the parent only has one kid, if they're not economically in a place that they can provide the kid with this money, that's not fair. Then the other way around is there's also, when you have the slot machine effect, there's always these runaway cases of kids, the parent paid for the PS Plus program, so now their credit card's on account, and the kid goes through and spends all this extra money now for these RNG things or something along those lines. I just think creating the situation for that to happen is unethical.
all right, moving on.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so the final bit about the weekly update is the fact that they're packing for San Francisco. They'll be going to PSX, and hopefully we'll hear some announcements there. We talked about that a bit earlier. I mean, we pretty much also, talked about what we thought was going to be in the future for Destiny 2 as far as DLCs go and whatnot. Do you think there is going to be a big announcement for sure at PSX?
Definitely.
Totally. Yeah.
Definitely.
They
So you
wouldn't
don't
be.
think it's
They
going to
wouldn't.
be a trailer and more of the same?
No, I don't think that Activision would have flown out all the big boys like they have if it was going to be nothing.
I agree.
I agree
definitely
as well.
agree.
What do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be some kind of update, Destiny, like a DLC in
Totally.
any form?
Yeah, I totally think it is.
Do you think it's going to be like a Dark Below?
I'm
Like-
hoping
Yeah,
that
I
it's going
think
to be
it's
a
going to be
DLC.
something big. But I am kind of worried at one point because you do realize that everybody's going to go up in arms when they have to spend money for a DLC, whether
But I
it's
don't
needed or
think-
not.
I half expect us to hear that there is going to be a new storyline coming, not a DLC, a storyline, and they're gonna have a title for the storyline, not a DLC, and they're gonna say it's going to be released in episodic content. You're gonna get this storyline volume 1 this week, followed by 2 weeks later, volume 2 or whatever. And they're going to release it like that, and I think it's going to be free DLC. I think it's like Remy said, they're creating with every DLC they launch and require for normal play, especially with how fast everybody levels up. They're creating a bigger and bigger gap, a bigger and bigger gulf for new players to have to get over to join in. Like he said, he knows at least one person hasn't bought the Taken King yet and doesn't play Destiny anymore because they don't have all the up to date stuff. So I do think the free episodic angle is going to be their way to combat that, and they're going to try to make most of their money from these horrible RNG packages and stuff.
Okay, so I have a question. Do you think that it would be better for Bungie to turn around and do a pay system? You pay yearly, and every month they add something. As
I would
opposed,
pay.
Yeah, I mean, I would pay, but
I think the models are failing, and all the businesses that are going with subscription models are seeing declining new numbers, and all the services that are going free to play models are seeing increasing new numbers. And I think Destiny is going to follow the latter, obviously.
Well, I mean, if that's what's working and people are buying the product, why not?
Yeah, but if it's
totally
free
agree
to
with that,
play,
but I don't agree with the RNG pricing on it.
no, I don't agree with that either. But so here's where I go back to. If it's going to be RNG, I'm sorry, if it's going to be free to play model, then instead of turning around and you go into Eververse and buying a dance move, you go to Eververse and you buy a new story.
No, I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're just going to sell items and give the stories out for free. The stories are going to make people come play and see the stuff that they can spend money on. That's how the other free-to-play games do it. They get you to come in with each new thing. Here's a new expansion. Everybody come play it, and then everybody comes and spends money in the store while they play it.
Agrios, did you end up buying any of those dances?
I didn't spend any of my own coin on them, though I did buy a few.
What did you buy? What was most important for you to get?
I bought the Halloween Boo, and I bought the Thriller dance just because it was like the most elaborate one, and It was for limited time. And every Halloween, somebody's going to be breaking out that one. I can't imagine there's going to be a different, more elaborate Halloween dance that I'm ever going to possibly want from Destiny. Like, if there's a different one, it's probably not going to be as cool as the Thriller one. So I got that, and I got the Boo just because I thought the Boo was kind of amusing. And I think I had, after I bought those two things, I think I had a handful of silver less that I tried for another one of those legendary packages with the hopes of a skull being in it, and that was it. And I only spent that much because I happened to have gotten $10 in free credit from the last PlayStation E3 event I went to, and credit had it sitting on there the last day of the event. And I was like, what the hell?
We gotta go. Is there anything else that you want to say before we take off?
How
Like
much time?
maybe you're sorry for saying Bungie targeted children. What the hell, dude? Just joking.
I'm not sorry for saying that.
Just joking.
That's not even the offensive part. It's very clear that Bungie targets children. They're targeting children with their advertising. They want children to play this game. They want kids
Started it
under
again, Remy.
No.
play this game. And if you're going to attempt to do that, this type of RNG real world money slot machine is unacceptable.
Anything else? Anything else that the listeners might want to listen to? I guess I should have asked that.
No.
Got it.
I mean, there is one other thing if we have time to talk about it. Crimson had brought up earlier this week. Um, there was a post about the no revive mechanic for hard mode and how that affects the game. I don't know
We
if we
only
have time.
we have 4 minutes.
Yeah, we don't have time to discuss that. We'll get
Go
to
into
that
that.
next week, Crimson.
So that's something to think about, both our listeners and you guys. What do you think about the no revive hard mode mechanic, and where do you think that should go, and how it affects the game? There's an awesome post on Reddit I encourage everyone to go check out. And
Right, and
we'll
write
talk
to
about
us. Write to us feedback at guardian1.net and let us know, and we might read your email next week when we discuss it. Okay, so that's it. Let's do shout outs and we'll roll. Sharks.
I'm gonna shout out to Artistic and D-Blog, Guardian 1 members. They hopped on when I was doing Crucible on reset day, and they said, "Have you run the raid for the gear?" And I go, "No," and they go, "Okay, let's get some groups together." So we ran it, and shout out to them.
Excellent. And I think it's Divulge. Agrios.
Okay.
Okay, this doesn't have anything to do with Destiny, but I'm going to shout out to Hideo Kojima. He's been going through some serious bullshit with Konami, and they just keep getting shittier and shittier. And they recently banned him from going to accept awards for his new game at an award show. And I mean, the main issue is that he's still under an employment contract, and if he wants paid, he has to do what they say. And they are not being cool. And based upon that and other reports that I've read about how Konami handles their employees and such. Man, they are pretty much at the bottom of my shit list. So shout out to Hideo Kojima for putting up with all this bullshit. He's an amazing artist and should not have to deal with this kind of drama.
Right, he will bounce back because he is talented.
Oh, he will. He'll bounce back better than Konami will ever bounce back from all this drama.
Right, it's crazy bad publicity. I can't even imagine somebody's going to lose their job over having chose this particular path of action.
I actually think it's a beef between him and like the people who like own the company. So I don't even know if that is going to happen. I've come to the conclusion that the people at the top of Konami just have to be utter dicks.
Crimson Warlock.
My shout out this week is actually to a member of Guardian 1 we haven't seen a lot, but he's a coworker of mine. This is Amazing Plankton. He's been walking me along on how to build a computer and helping me do that because I've never done it before, and I'm getting ready to do one, and his help has been amazing. And so my shout outs to him. Thanks, Amazing. You are exactly what your namesake is.
We even got a mini Crimson shout out there. Mini Crimson gave a little shout. I heard it for her.
My shout out this week is to you listening right now. I'm talking to you. You're listening on your iPod, or you're listening on your Android device, or you're listening at home. It's a really fun thing to do this podcast, and it takes a lot of my time. Like, I think about it all week long. I think about, all the different things that we could talk about, and I think about all the different things to talk about, and really what I'm thinking about is what I'm going to say to you listening to this right now. And so thank you to you for listening to this. And please, if you have some feedback for us, or if you have something that you want to say to us, or a review, or any kind of rating, something you'd like to hear more of, something you'd like to hear less of, I would love to hear it. because it's going to be those things that help us shape the show into what it can be and what it should be. So with that wraps up episode 68. I would like to thank everyone listening for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions or suggestions for topics to be discussed on the show, please leave them in the comments below or send them to feedback@guardian1.net, and we will see you next week.
See ya.